Hello, my name is Louise Staunton. I'm the International Student Experience Manager at Trinity, and I'm going to talk to you about living in Dublin and focus on a number of different areas that I hope you're going to find interesting. I'm going to give you some information on the array of student supports and services that are there, particularly for postgraduate students. I'll also talk to you about the clubs and societies that Trinity has that are a great resource, and also highlight some accommodation options for postgraduate students. So why Dublin? Dublin is a very friendly, young European capital, very safe place. It's one of the best student cities in the world. It's also a city of culture. We have been a UNESCO City of Literature. We are a gateway to Europe. And also it's an extremely cultural city with many museums, theatres, art galleries, etc., and a really strong tradition of music and sport as well. And we're also a global tech hub, which is a really important and interesting aspect of the city. You'll see here the Global Innovation Hub that is at the heart of Dublin City. And Dublin's Innovation District is essentially encircles the Trinity College campuses. You can see here the number of global companies that are located incredibly close to Trinity, such as Facebook and Accenture and Bank of Ireland and Workday and Google and Airbnb, huge companies that are within walking distance of our campus. So in terms of the student supports and services that Trinity provides to all its students, I suppose we focus on helping students make the most of their time in Trinity. And that covers an array of areas. For example, the administrative supports that are provided through our academic registry and our senior tutors office houses a postgraduate advisory service that's specifically for postgraduate students. We also then have several academic supports. And they would be through our careers service, and I'm going to focus on them a little bit more in a few moments. Also through student learning development, our library, and also for any disability needs that a student might have. Our disability service is there to help, particularly around different accommodations or supporting you to be able to learn effectively at Trinity. In addition to that, then there are several health and well-being supports, whether it's the Student Health Centre that all students can be a member of, and where you can attend an appointment with a GP for free. We also then have our sports service, our student counselling service, which I'm going to tell you more about in a few moments, as well as our chaplaincy, which can be a really useful resource for students also, and a creche for any students who might have creche needs. In terms of student life, there is so much that you can get involved in Trinity, whether it's joining the Graduate Students' Union, which is there for postgraduate students, a very, very active student union, where they put on a lot of events for postgraduate students, but also really support and understand the kind of areas and needs that postgraduate students have. Also, we have clubs and societies, which are a massive part of student life at Trinity, and I will talk to you a little bit more about those later on in my presentation. And also the Global Room, which is a resource for all students, but particularly for international students, as it houses our International Student Support Hub. So, of course, at this time, a lot of student supports are online and providing supports virtually. So our student health and student counselling service have been providing in-person support when it is possible to do that, and also online supports, including group counselling. So they have a specific chat group for postgraduate students that meets very regularly. That's a really useful resource for postgrad students. Student learning development provides an array of online workshops on academic skills and virtual learning. So whether you're coming back to education or you're new to learning in the Irish academic environment or the student learning development workshops are really useful for all students. And as I mentioned, our postgraduate advisory service is an amazing resource to support student success, and that focuses purely on postgraduates. And then Trinity Sport has been offering lots of online workouts with the Trinity Fitness team, while we have been, operating virtually. And if you want more information on Trinity supports, you can find them at the website address on the screen now. In terms of career development, this is obviously something very important for postgraduate students. So our careers advisory service offers a really incredible range of supports to Trinity students. So whether it's advice on career planning, whether it's CV and interview preparation, or LinkedIn advice, for example, getting your LinkedIn profile up and ready. They offer in-person supports, but also a lot of online supports. There are a number, I guess, of employability benefits as well, particularly for international students. So if you are coming to Trinity as a postgraduate international student, you're permitted to work 20 hours a week during term and full-time during holidays, which is a great way for you to get international work experience, which will obviously really add and benefit you when you're applying for jobs, but also in your future career. Ireland also offers a stay-back work visa for 2 years after graduation for postgraduates, again, offering you a great way to get experience in the Irish job market. And Trinity is a top 100 university for graduate employability, which really shows that the career service is providing an excellent service to all of our students. And if you want to find out more information, you can have a look at tcd.ie careers. So if you come to Trinity, you are joining an incredibly diverse and vibrant student community. So of our population of students, there are 18,000 students roughly in Trinity. Our students come from 120 different countries, which is really phenomenal. It just goes to show you the range of people who join the Trinity community. And I suppose within that then, there are so many interesting opportunities that can arise from that. In terms of the types of connections and friendships that you can make over your time at Trinity. We also have 170 different sports clubs and societies. So there's about 50 sports clubs and 120 student societies. Another great resource for students, but particularly for international students, is the Global Room. So the Global Room is, we like to call it a home away from home for all students. It is a physical space located on Trinity's main campus, and you'll see a picture of it there on your screen now. But in recent times, we have been providing virtual supports mainly. So in addition to being an event space, we're also operating as an online event space now. And we do provide specialist information and supports for international students, including, very importantly, immigration advice. And we're the only area of Trinity that provides that type of advice to students. So we organize social, cultural information events for all Trinity students throughout the year. And we have a professional support team, but also we have over 20 student ambassadors who come from all over the world. So they include Irish students, international students, and also UG and PG students as well. So here on the screen, you'll see our Global Room Ambassador team for 2020-21. And they are an amazing resource for us. And we recruit new students every year, and we're always looking for postgraduate students. So should you come to Trinity, we would love to welcome you to the team. So for international postgraduate students, we offer an extensive welcome and orientation program. So in the last year, we offered a welcome and transport service from the airport. There was support for restricted movement and self-isolation for students who were joining us from international locations. And that also included a 2-week pre-orientation program when people were restricting their movements or self-isolating. And that included a food service too. But the orientation and welcome program at Trinity is really extensive. It's a really fun time of year for all students, and a really comprehensive activity program for PGs is organized. So there's extensive course inductions. You can, of course, participate in the clubs and societies fair as well. And also there are a huge number of social events and meetups that help you connect across the Trinity community, to meet classmates, to meet people maybe who have similar interests to you or who are on your program. We always encourage students who are thinking about coming to Trinity to start connecting with us on social media. So the Global Room has quite an extensive presence on social media. If you'd like to connect with us, please do. We'd also encourage you, if you're thinking of coming to Trinity as a new postgrad student, to join our postgraduate Facebook group, and you'll see the contact details on the screen. So Trinity, as I mentioned, has a really vast number of clubs and societies. And really, I suppose, what do we envisage that those societies will give you? Well, we want you to participate, I suppose, and join in and connect with the community beyond, for example, your immediate program. And I suppose Trinity is all about developing the whole person. It's about the academic, but it's also about the social and the cultural and really the intellectual, physical, and social activity beyond the classroom. So if I'm going to focus on a couple of societies that you might be interested in, for example, Trinity has some of the oldest debating societies and student societies in the world. So for example, the Historical Society, which is called the HIST, and the Philosophical Society, called the PHIL for short, are some of the oldest debating and student societies in the world, which is quite incredible. And they really attract an international caliber of speaker. So some of the speakers are, people that you might be familiar with. For example, US President Joe Biden came to Trinity when he was vice president. Of course, he's now president of the United States. We've had people like Angela Merkel, German chancellor, very well known Hollywood actors, CEOs like Tim Cook of Apple, international film directors, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you'll see some familiar faces on the screen, including Madeleine Albright. So getting involved in student societies is a great way to meet people. And other recent visitors who've come to Trinity as well maybe include some familiar faces. So as I mentioned, President Joe Biden received an honorary degree from Trinity a few years ago. The Obama family visited the Book of Kells, and also Harry and Meghan came a few years ago as well. So yeah, when you join our societies, it's really a great way for you to meet people, but it's also a great way for you to, for example, maybe develop interests that you weren't even aware that you had. And we really do encourage students to even think about if there's a gap, if there's a society that doesn't exist that you have an interest in developing, that's a great thing to do, is to get involved in even setting up a society. But there are so many leadership roles in societies. Again, these can be great opportunities for you to showcase your skills, but also to develop skills in leadership roles in student clubs and societies. And you'll see here some images from society activities on main campus. Right, so also then, most students are very interested to know a little bit more about accommodation options at Trinity. Dublin is a relatively big city, and Trinity has housing options for undergraduate and postgraduate students, but the postgraduate, or the most suitable accommodation for postgraduate students to apply to, would be the accommodation at Kavanagh Court. So this is a very modern accommodation block in Dublin city centre. It's located about, I would say, about a 15-minute walk from Trinity's main campus, so it's extremely central. As you can see with the images here on the screen, extremely modern, really, really nice, has nice little extras like a rooftop terrace overlooking the city, lots of different recreational rooms within the accommodation, and very spacious accommodation as well for students. As you can see, there are nice study desks and wardrobes and things like that in the room. So it's quite a popular choice for postgraduate students and something that you might want to consider. And if you're interested in that, we'd encourage you to have a look at the tcd.ie/accommodation website. Now, not every student wants to stay in Trinity accommodation, and some, particularly postgraduate students, actually may want to find a private rented accommodation. There's a lot of resources for that too. So whether or not you want to contact the TCD Students' Union accommodation site there, and they will have information. The Graduate Students' Union can also advise on accommodation options. And then there are several online accommodation finding resources that you'll see on the screen. Some of the most popular ones, for example, would be myhome.ie or daft.ie. And there are some Trinity-based notice boards too that you might want to keep an eye out on. If you do have any questions on accommodation, do get in touch either with the Students' Union, the Graduate Students' Union, or the Accommodation Office in Trinity. So I've tried during my presentation to give you a real overview of what it's like to live in Dublin, what the supports and services are within Trinity, and how vibrant and interesting the clubs and societies cultures are, where really we encourage you, to go outside your comfort zone and try something new and get involved so that you can meet people and really enrich your time in Trinity. So with that, I'm going to finish. Thank you so much for listening. We absolutely look forward to welcoming you to Trinity at some point in the future. And if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.